Just when you think you know who the 49ers are, they go and lose to the Texans. Good afternoon. Welcome to a very special, an emergency episode of the Cohn Zone. That's the original Cohn, Lowell Cohn. I'm his offspring, Grant Cohn. The 49ers are 5-3, and it's the most depressing 5-3 record in the history of 5-3s. We think they're good, or do we? We did last week. So we're going to go through it and sort of give the Niners credit for what they're doing well and what they're not doing so well, and look at it from a big picture perspective, and then we'll look ahead. So, Dad, the question of the day, of the week, are the 49ers good or not so good after witnessing what you witnessed?
I want to talk about first our psychological state, because after they beat Atlanta, I thought, whoa, the Niners are an NFC powerhouse. Shanahan is in the running for coach of the year. Christian McCaffrey is all the way back, superstar. And now I have other points of view which are not so positive. So I think to our viewers, we're going to seem skitsy. You know, these Cohns, like they go from one extreme to the other. And the only thing I can say, one, we may be skitsy, but the other is the Niners are.
The whole league is. Anytime you think a team is good, that team loses.
Exactly. It's not only the Niners, it's infected the whole league. Yep. So every week it changes your opinion entirely. So now
last week we thought beating the Falcons mattered because we thought the Falcons were good because they beat the Bills, but then the Falcons just got destroyed by the Dolphins, who everyone wrote off. So not anymore.
Yeah, it's true. So I hope you people understand that maybe you're even as confused as we are. So let me say this, Niners. They are not a great team. On the other hand, they're not a bad team. I mean, so we're setting certain parameters, right? Mm-hmm. They don't suck. There is like the Jets suck. Mm-hmm. The Raiders suck. Okay? Mm-hmm. They're not them. Philadelphia is very good and Detroit is very good. The Niners are not them either. Mm-hmm. They inhabit a sort of amorphous middle ground. Mm-hmm. Is that fair to say, Iggy?
I think you would call it mediocre.
Maybe a synonym for the amorphous middle ground is mediocre. So why are they mediocre? They can beat really crummy teams and look phenomenal. But when you get against, let's talk about Houston. Crummy offense. Let's leave it aside for a moment. They had a really good defense. As a result, Christian McCaffrey receded. He went back to even worse than we had seen him before. He really was not a running back in that game. And in fact, Iggy, he wasn't a factor in that game.
No. He caught some passes at the end during garbage time, but he really wasn't a factor.
He wasn't a factor. And you'd have to say that D'Amico Ryans got the better of Kyle Shanahan.
Yes.
And of course, Shanahan has a lot of excuses and all of that. They don't matter on the field. How are you doing? It's like, I could have done better if. There's no if. The team that they currently have is the team they currently have. And they could not run against Houston. They had fewer than 20 minutes of possession.
Yeah.
They couldn't even keep the ball. And their defense
was 2-4.
Yeah. And their defense against an offense that was crummy just allowed them to continually march down the field, score point after point after point. So, Iggy, I would have to say it was a horrible performance, and it makes you think, who are these guys?
Yeah. I mean, beating the Rams with all those backups was really, really impressive. I'm not sure the Niners could beat the Rams again. Beating the Seahawks was impressive. I don't know that the Niners could beat the Seahawks again. They started the season 3-0. Which was improbable given all the injuries. Since then, they're 2-2, and they seem like a team that could win one and lose one pretty much the rest of the way out, because one player comes back from injury, 3 more go down. It seems like every week. So they have issues almost at every position. They need offense. They need defense. They have a great kicker, though. So Are the Niners good? They could still end the season with 10 or 11 wins. I expect they will, but I don't think they could lose in the
Okay.
first round of the playoffs.
I think they will win end the season with 10 or 11 wins. Part of it is the schedule is very easy.
Mhm.
Like next week against the Giants, I don't see them as much of an opponent. Um, Having said that, I think they're a fairly weak team. And
Yeah.
if they make the playoffs, God love Kyle Shanahan. And I would say retain him if they make the playoffs. But they are not a factor in the playoffs. They not only will lose, they'll be brushed aside.
I think weak is the operative word because they're a smart team. They're a well coached team most of the time. Two good coordinators, two good quarterbacks, but they're bad in the trenches on offense and defense. And if that's your team, you're a weak team.
And Iggy, they don't have a running game.
No.
I don't see how a good team, any good team, cannot have a running game. And look, it's not a knock on Christian McCaffrey. I think there are ways to work around it, and one is to play the other back some more.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you got to lose?
Yeah, you're already dead last in the NFL in yards per carry.
Yeah.
What do you have to
So
lose?
what do you got to lose? And don't they have a running back that they drafted?
They do. They haven't played him at all yet.
What is that? I don't. It's stubbornness. It's stubbornness to keep getting McCaffrey knocked down. They're going to get him hurt, Iggy.
I don't understand what they're doing. It seems like such a natural transition to make him a wide receiver. You need wide receivers. His dad was a wide receiver. His brother's a wide receiver. He's a really good receiver. He's not particularly effective as a running back anymore. His career would last longer as a receiver, and receivers make more money. I'm sure he'd be into it. Let him know that he's playing wide receiver from now on. That's what I would do.
And Iggy, they can even play him wide receiver from the backfield, which is what they do a
Absolutely.
lot. They can
Yes.
do that. And, they could also use two running backs.
Yep.
I'm not talking about the fullback.
No.
They could use two running backs. They could play Bill Walsh football. It wasn't bad.
No, really, actually, they won Super Bowls.
Oh, okay. I forgot the concept.
Let's talk Kyle Shanahan. Like you said, a week ago, he was in the running for Coach of the Year. Then he can't get his group ready for a 10 a.m. body clock game in Houston, and they get kind of embarrassed. So why don't we give a fair and balanced assessment of his season so far? 5-3, the good and not so good from Kyle Shanahan in year 9 with the Niners. Starting with the good.
The good. At 5-2, I thought he was in the running for Coach of the Year. And I sincerely did, Iggy, because of all the injuries and how he had kept the squad together and how he had won. All that matters is winning. Even now, he's 5-3. Mm-hmm. And I think he's going to be 6-3. So that's very impressive. Really impressive. What's not impressive is how he functioned in his last game. Mm-hmm. Here's a guy who's supposed to be really elite offensively. His offense was a joke. Mm-hmm. They couldn't stay on the field. And you could blame the quarterback. I blame Kyle more than the quarterback. Whenever the quarterback had a shot, he actually, at the end, he played pretty well. And as you pointed out in some of your broadcasts, when Kyle played from behind, there was no sense of urgency. He was like dreaming in the library. I'm seeing the clock. I'm at home seeing the clock. Say, guys, get up to the line of scrimmage. Let's do something here. No. So I question his sense of game management. I give him high props for being 5-3, but his sense of game management, when it came down to it against that team, Iggy, it wasn't there. Am I being too hard?
Absolutely not. I mean, what we're saying is he gets credit for winning games, but he's 2-2 in his last 4. So what is he really doing that's contributing to these wins? His offense isn't. Like, he has no run game. They're not scoring points. they couldn't even hold the ball for 20 minutes in this last game. Is it the quarterback's fault? I tend to think that Mac Jones and Brock Purdy are both pretty good. I think the issue more is the offensive line is terrible, almost by design. The Niners don't really invest in it. And maybe Kyle Shanahan's ideas aren't as cutting edge anymore. And then there's the other big one. I think what he would say is, well, I have all these injuries, Kittle and Ayuk and Pearsall. And that's true. But it seems like, I'm not saying it's his fault that there's all these injuries. But if his teams consistently have a ton of injuries, the most injuries year in and year out, then he doesn't have the solution, as we've talked about. And that's just something you have to come to expect with his team. That's his fault.
Yeah, I mean, if you were looking to change coaches, you would say, I want a coach who doesn't get players hurt at that rate. I mean, that's part of his package, that he gets players hurt a lot. And Iggy, I want to come back to the offensive line. It did not do well in that game against DeMeco Ryans' defense. McKivitz had a bad game.
McKivitz had a bad game. He's terrible. And he was going up against one of the best edge rushers in the league, and Will Anderson. But there were some plays in this that are pure Kyle Shanahan. You already know you don't have a right tackle who can match up with Will Anderson. So help out McKivitz as much as possible with the tight end or a running back. There were so many plays where he didn't. And then there was other plays where he wouldn't even have McKivitz on Will Anderson. He would have a play action pass where the backup center, Matt Hennessy, would pull around and he would try to block Will Anderson and lose. Come on, man. That's the kind of stuff that only a genius would think of.
The point is, it's basic stuff, right?
Yeah.
When you're assembling your offensive game plan, you're saying McKivitz is going to need help. This is how I'm going to do it. That would be before you even put it in pass plays.
What you'd say is, this guy, Will Anderson, is such a great player. He could end the game. We have to make sure he doesn't wreck the game for us. And they didn't treat him with enough respect. Same thing with CJ Stroud. They basically gave a game plan of, if we hang back and play soft zone coverage, he's not that good. He'll make mistakes. He won't lead multiple 10-play drives. Like 6 of them. They completely underestimated CJ Stroud as if they thought he was Michael Penix Jr. or something. So I think that's what was so disappointing about that loss in Houston. They played way worse than they are. They're not a great team, but they were absolutely the worst versions of themselves, the worst game they've played all season.
In Iggy, I don't know if you saw it, but toward the end of the first half, they panned to the sideline, and Saleh, this was while the game was going on, Saleh and Shanahan were talking to each other. My guess is Shanahan had called, you never see them talking to each other. They're busy. Mm-hmm. Shanahan had called them over and what's going on with the defense. And my guess is Saleh was trying to explain. It was a very poignant moment. 2 very bright men who did not understand why they were failing.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I have more than not so good for Kyle Shanahan because I want to get everything on the table. His playbook is good. I think that's why he makes so much money and why he's going to be in the league a long time. Everyone wants his playbook. It's terrific. But how about developing young players? They're trying to do it on defense. Some of those rookies have a lot of potential on offense. They won't play the rookie running back. They really won't play the rookie wide receiver very much. The most successful newcomer is Kendrick Bourne, who was on the team and is 30. He doesn't do the greatest job of developing young guys.
Right. Remember Jordan Mason? He didn't want to run him, and you asked, why don't you run him? And he said he's 3rd on the depth chart. Like the depth chart was the 10 commandments in stone. You know what I mean? Change your depth chart. So that was another example. He didn't want to play a young guy, and he was just flat out wrong.
Every time they draft someone on offense, it's confusing. Like, why did you want this guy? The experts didn't project him to get picked here. And it's always like, well, he's going to fit Kyle Shanahan's system. How often does that ever work out with the 49ers?
Yeah.
His system picks.
Right. And again, we've said this 1,000 times. You're not picking for the system, although Kyle is. Really, really important coaches draft the player and adapt the system. That's what Bill Walsh did. And I maintain that Bill Walsh was light years ahead of Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah. So while Kyle Shanahan does do certain things very well, the injuries, a lot of the things fall at his feet.
Yeah, okay, I want to give him praise for one other thing. when things go bad on a team, sometimes you see the team falling apart. Fights, Debo. Um, I do believe up to this point he's held the team together, and they're playing hard. They may not be playing well, but they're playing hard.
I would agree with that. Absolutely. The one exception on this particular team seems to be Juwan Jennings. They have one more week to figure out what to do about him.
Yeah. May I again? I don't know him, but I assume he's a good guy, and I know he's a good player. I think he's confused. I think he's a confused young man. He wanted an extension. He didn't get it. It would hurt your feelings, and it might even affect your play. I don't think he's dogging it. I don't think he's a malingerer. I think he's trying hard, but he may be a little depressed and a little confused. I would be.
I think that's absolutely true. Natural. Yeah. Okay, that's Kyle. Let's not leave Kyle. Let's not single out Kyle. He is the head coach, but he's not the whole organization. They still do have a general manager, John Lynch. And sometimes it's hard to know exactly what he's responsible for, but he's the general manager, and essentially he's responsible for the roster and the transactions. So why don't we say what we think he's done well in general this year before we talk about what he hasn't done so well?
Okay. If we're saying he's in charge of the roster, then he got Mac Jones.
Sure.
And that was, I would say, really, really impressive. And we can get into that more later. Also, they drafted very promising players on defense.
Yes, especially in the first couple of rounds. And they did trade for Bryce Huff. That was a good trade.
Yeah. So I would say those are all positive marks for John Lynch. Tell me where he falls short.
Well, in terms of drafting, Michael Williams and Alfred Collins do have a lot of potential, but right now, neither one is particularly good. After that, in round 3, they took Upton Stout, who's getting picked on. Still, it's early in his career. After him, they took Nick Martin. They won't play him. They took Jordan Watkins. They won't play him much. They took Jordan James. They won't play him. So what was the best draft? What were the 2 or 3 best draft picks they've made in the last 5 years? Brock Purdy, Diamador Lenore, Ricky Pearsall looked good, but he hasn't played in more than a week, more than a month. He's hurt a lot. I think their draft record isn't very good. It's probably below average. And then you look at free agency. I mean, the guys they signed this year, they signed Luke Farrell. Yeah, Mac Jones was good, but they gave money to Luke Farrell, DeMarcus Robinson. Last year, it was Devondre Campbell and Leonard Floyd. And before that, it was Javon Hargrave. Like, they've had a lot of misses in just player acquisition. And then the contracts. The contracts for Ayuk and Bosa and Kittle and Warner and Purdy and McCaffrey and Trent Williams. I mean, what about those?
They're actually a load on the team, right?
Yeah.
Iggy, I want to ask you, contracts aside for a second and Lynch aside, how did Williams play in the last game? Did he play a good game?
No.
When I looked, Iggy, he was getting pushed around.
He was right next to Mac Jones a lot of the game. Yeah.
He he's an older man. Great player, Hall of Fame. You get old. I know about getting old. And your body doesn't always answer the call.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what John Lynch does, I think he's the anti-Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke was a scout, and I think he felt like, look, Jim, don't tell me what you want. I'll get you the best players, and you figure it out. And I think that didn't work all the time because Harbaugh felt like, and Fangio felt like, man, these guys don't fit our scheme at all, and you didn't even ask us. We have no input on this. It's not fair. So I think Lynch tries to be the exact opposite, where he wants to get his coaches bought in. So he's like, Kyle, tell me what you want. Saleh, tell me what you want, which is good to a degree, but Kyle and Saleh aren't personnel people. They're not spending all of their time watching college tape or free agents from around the league. They're coaches. And in a way, it kind of seems like Lynch is asking them to do his job or his homework for him. And maybe if they consistently have bad results, the answer is to get someone in who's more like Balky, who has more of a background with personnel.
Okay, you would never want Balky. You mean a Balky type?
You would never want Balky, but no, someone who
Never.
actually came up through the ranks as a personnel person.
Yeah, like the guy who took over in Washington.
Right.
What's his name?
Adam Peters.
Yeah, like him,
Yeah.
an Adam.
Yeah.
So let's not even use the word Balky because let's say Adam Peters type.
Yeah. I mean, they have guys in their own organization, maybe Tariq Ahmad or Josh Williams. I mean, there are guys who've been there for a long time. Maybe they feel if that guy got elevated and had John Lynch's job, it wouldn't be Lynch asking the coaches to pick the players. It would be someone who was a former scout picking the players. And maybe that would be better. I don't know. It's up to John Lynch, but or not. It's up to Jed York. But I feel like the biggest problem with the Niners right now, a lot of guys are hurt, a lot older guys, but what about your young guys? I mean, they might be good one day, but it doesn't seem like any of them are really above average starters.
Even on the defense, Iggy.
I mean, Michael Williams can't rush the quarterback at all yet. Alfred Collins is a run defender. I don't know, Dad. I think a big reason their defense got shredded in Houston is because those rookies didn't do so well.
Yeah, and Stroud really, he was rarely under duress, was he?
No. And it's like we've been talking for weeks, should the Niners go trade for a edge rusher? Well, they wouldn't have to if the one they drafted with the 11th pick was good at rushing the quarterback.
So they'd be filling a hole they created.
Right. And people say, well, you know, they didn't need an edge rusher. They knew he was a run defender. Well, you never know what you're going to need in football because people get hurt all the time and you always need pass rushers. And who takes a defensive lineman top 11 who can't rush the quarterback? Maybe the Niners will teach him how to do it, but that's what they thought they were going to do with Javon Kinlaw. That never worked out. It's hard to teach someone to do something like that.
Right. You want to have a track record that he's done it in college.
Right. Which he didn't have that track record.
Okay. So what we're saying is about Lynch. Lynch does certain things very well. As the face of the organization, he's good. Mm-hmm. He's charming. He's handsome. He's verbal, although he says convicted when he means have conviction. And I stop that. But we're saying that when it comes to the nitty gritty of putting a team together and knowing which players to draft that will work out, he may be still a novice.
Which players to draft, which players to sign, which players to extend, which players to trade, which players to trade for. I mean, he's got a lot to answer for right now. They held on to a lot of these guys too long. They gave out a lot of bad contracts. What are you going to do with the trade deadline right now? Here's another one. So today, they are decimated on the D-line, right? They have this guy named Trevis Gibson, who's been on their practice squad. They keep elevating him to the active roster on game days because they need bodies. He's been playing for them. You can do that 3 times a year. After that, he has to either stay on your practice squad the rest of the year or get elevated permanently to the 53-man roster. We asked Kyle yesterday, what are you going to do with Trevis? He's like, we haven't decided yet. The Panthers claimed him off the Niners practice squad today. So he's gone. Not that he's going to make or break the season, but it's like, you need him. Why is he not on? How did they beat you to the punch on that? It just feels very unprofessional.
I see. I didn't know that. Know that. Not a good
that,
look.
Of course, is not a fireable offense. It's just like another thing you add to a long list of strange things the front office has done.
Or not done. Like not being on top of your business.
Yeah. So I know the Niners have what's interesting. They have this very, very good scouting department. Balky and McLuhan put it together a long time ago when Kyle and John came in here 9 years ago. They kept it. So maybe one of those guys deserves more power, and maybe John Lynch should be elevated to vice president so he could focus on just press conferences. I don't know. But if the Niners miss the playoffs this year, it's going to be because of this stuff.
People will say you're wrong, Grant. It's because of injuries.
Okay, well, injuries are also part of roster construction. and I get it's also on the coaching as well. But it seems like maybe another general manager could get players who are a little bit more durable.
Right. And when some of them went down, they'd have people who were pretty good to go to step up.
Yeah. And it's there's a lot of pressure because they spent all this money on not just Brock Purdy, but 7 other guys. So most of your money is tied up in 7 or 8 veterans. That means the rest of your roster has to be young players that you've drafted who are cheap. That means you got to be really good at drafting. They didn't have to be good at drafting 4 years ago when Brock Purdy was the quarterback and they weren't spending $50 million a year on one person. Now they have to be good at drafting. And so far, they haven't had a great draft in years. All right. Let's look ahead to this weekend. The Giants, they're not a good team. The Niners need to win this game to go to 6-3 and to get their season back on track. Assuming Brock Purdy is mostly healthy, should he start this game?
Okay. This is a key question, and I love it. So we're making an assumption. We don't know because they don't tell. We're saying Brock Purdy's pretty healthy enough to play. Iggy doesn't know. I don't know. All I do know is I watch these videos Iggy puts up where the quarterbacks work out and they have those little things on the ground. They have to jump between them and throw. He seemed to do it as well as the other 2 quarterbacks. So if he's hurt, he doesn't look that hurt to me anymore. So I'm making the assumption he's well enough to play. If I'm wrong, forgive me. I think if he's well enough to play, he starts against the Giants. And I want to explain it very carefully. This is no knock on Mac Jones. I love Mac Jones. I love how he plays. I love his grit. I love how precise he can throw. I like his sense of humor. I think he's delightful on that team. Brock Purdy is their quarterback. They're paying him a lot of money. At some point, he has to be a football player.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a statue on the sideline. They're not paying him to be a statue on the sideline. When he is ready to play, and I would hope it's this weekend, I'm not saying he'll do better than Mac Jones. I don't know if he's a better quarterback. Iggy, they're both good quarterbacks. They do things a little bit different, but they're both good quarterbacks. But I'm looking for a logical, seamless way to bring him in. You bring him in after a loss. You bring him in after the other guy had a so-so game, really wasn't in command of the offense. This is a way to do it. You could say, well, Lowell, you're wrong because if Purdy's no good, then you have to bring back Mac, and it's very confusing, and you have a quarterback controversy. I got it. But if he's no good, we'll learn it. And he shouldn't play. At some point, he has to play football. And Iggy, I think the point is now. And no knock on Mac Jones at all. I think it's his time to play your guy.
I think the 49ers completely 100% agree with you. And I think the Niners have been sort of gently nudging him back toward the field for the last week or so. He's been practicing. They brought him to Houston. He traveled on the road, which to me is them telling him and the world, hey man, you're almost ready. You can go on this trip. You can deal with, the inflammation that you're going to get on the plane. You're good. You're almost good. And again, we had this discussion last week. Who's being more cautious here? Is it the Niners being cautious and slow, or is it Brock being cautious and slow? I don't think the Niners are in the business of being cautious and slow with people they gave $265 freaking million. I think they get a little touchy about it. Like, hey man, earn your money. And they understand, I'm sure, to a degree that he needs to be careful, but I think they also feel like if you can protect yourself, you should go out there because you might be healthier than Mac Jones right now. Mac Jones is playing hurt, right?
Playing hurt and not complaining.
And not talking about. So, hey, you want to look like Brock Purdy? You want to be out there and give the best expression of yourself? Hey, we all do. We don't all always have that luxury. Get on the fucking field. But I don't know. He tried it once. He was a good soldier. It didn't work out. I wonder if he's going to say, you know what? That turf in New Jersey, it's not good turf. And people get hurt on it all the time. My toe hurts this week. I'm going to give him one more week.
Okay, I have 2 questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
2 questions. Who is the quarterback against the Giants?
Mac Jones.
Why do you say that?
I don't think Purdy's ready yet. In Purdy's mind, I'm going into Purdy's mind. I don't think he's ready yet. I think he wants to be as cautious as possible. And I think if he were to come back on, against the Rams the following week at home on grass,
Okay.
that might be the one.
That was my next question.
Mhm.
If not against the Giants, when? And you're saying
It's
the
gotta be
following.
soon. It's got to be soon.
I think so. I mean, they're not paying him to be a spectator.
That's true. And it does seem like by bringing him to Houston, the organization is kind of saying, hey, Brock, if you're ready, we're ready for you. So if he says not this week, it's gonna finally look like he's the one who's not so eager to play football. And I don't think he wants to look like that after getting paid.
Okay. So you're saying
maybe he will play this weekend. If they're going to pressure him, if they're going to say like, hey, man, we want you to, maybe he will.
Okay, I'm saying I hope he plays this weekend simply because I think it makes sense for the organization. But if he doesn't play this weekend, you're saying pretty sure against the Rams at home.
Well, think about it this way. He got injured week 4. They didn't put him on IR. He has now missed week 5, week 6, week 7, week 8. That's 4 games. So if he goes on to miss this game, that'll be a 5th game. That would be a mess up. That would mean that the Niners should have put him on IR because you could take him off after 4 games. They could have had another player on the active. They could have had Travis Gibson on the active roster. So it seems like if he were to miss this 5th game, he would officially be missing more than the Niners expected, which makes you wonder, did they misjudge or are they not on the same page?
Okay, another set of questions. Let's play a game. Let's forget the Giants for a moment. Rams. If Mac Jones starts, I'm going to do both. Do they beat the Rams?
I mean, Mac Jones did beat the Rams once. He did it.
I say if Mac Jones starts, they don't beat the Rams, NFW. And I'm also going to say if Purdy starts, they don't beat the Rams, NFW.
Yeah, that's fair. They don't have Fred Warner anymore. They don't look so great right now.
No. Yeah. The team that just got beat by Houston doesn't beat the Rams. It doesn't matter. They could have Johnny Unitas as the quarterback. It doesn't matter. This team does not beat the Rams. No. I'm not sure they beat the Seahawks.
So hold on. Let's go through the rest of their – we do this every week. Let's go through the rest of their schedule. Upcoming game against the Giants, you should win that game.
Oh, 6-3.
But then you got the Rams at home.
6-4.
Then you got Arizona on the road.
7-4.
Then you got Carolina at home.
8-4.
Then you got Cleveland on the road.
You would know better on that one than I do.
I mean, you should feel like they're going to win 3 in a row, but I feel like they're going to lose one of those 3 games.
Yeah, let's say they lose to Cleveland, okay?
Okay, so that's 8-5. Bye week at home against the Titans. 9-5.
9-5.
Titans are just absolutely awful. Then the Colts will beat them.
9-6.
9-6. Then you got the Bears. That should be 10-6, and the Seahawks 10-7. So they're on the edge.
Okay, 10-7, 11-6. It's pretty much what we said at the beginning, Iggy.
Yes,
and after 8 games, I had them in the beginning at 4-4. They're 5-3. So we're not that, and you had them at 4-4 also. So we're not that far off.
Okay, so we're looking at 10, 11 wins. They're not that good of a team, but their schedule isn't that tough, and they're probably going to go to the playoffs, and the trade deadline's in a week. So we ask this every week, but now coming off this brutal loss, what should they do? Should they be buyers or should they be sellers or should they do a little bit of both?
I like a little bit of both, and I'll tell you why. Sellers would make me sick. Yep. They have a winning record, and they're going to have a better winning record after they beat the Giants. They'll be 6-3, 666. That's good, and they'll be competing in their division. So the idea to be sellers is not in the spirit of competition.
Right.
I don't like it.
Well, just tank if you're not going to win the Super Bowl? Like, no, you can't do that.
Right. Because other teams, Stafford could get hurt.
Yep.
Other people can get hurt.
Yep.
Goff could get hurt. So, no. Baker Mayfield could get hurt.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I don't like sellers, but I like the idea of modest buyers. No first round picks, Iggy.
Mm-mm.
You don't give up. So give me, if you agree with me, give me an example of modest buying.
If they could trade a third round pick for a defensive end who'd be pretty good, that would be worth it. A guy who'd be on the team next year too, that'd be worth it. Because you don't know what Nick Bosa is going to be like next year after his third ACL tear. Or if they could trade for a linebacker, or if they could trade for, running backs aren't expensive. Someone else that could allow you to move Christian McCaffrey to wide receiver a little more often, that'd be great. Or if you could find any offensive lineman, anyone, any position.
Iggy, do you think they see that they have a need for an offensive lineman?
I think they feel that Ben Barch is coming back and he's going to help them out at left guard.
Do you think, well, until he gets injured?
Yeah, he's good for a game and a half.
It doesn't help him on the right side.
No. Colt McKivitz was just embarrassed. They'll say, well, Will Anderson does that to everyone.
Okay. And can I tell you something? I'm not down on Colt McKivitz. Here's what I want to say. He got beat. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows who he is. Mm-hmm. He got beat. I'm down on the coaches who put him in a position to get beat like that.
Right.
You have to help him.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he sucks. He's a bad guy. He needed help. Yeah. What's wrong with that? It's a team.
And it's not like you have to be a football expert to understand that Colton McKivitz isn't going to hold up one-on-one against Will Anderson often.
Yeah, he did the best he could. Yeah. If I were him, I'd be pissed.
Yeah. What did you just learn that? You just figured out that I'm not elite, Kyle? What did you think? I could go toe-to-toe with this guy? Guess what?
Yeah. Another thing they could do, and I don't know if we're talking about it later, they could trade Juwan Jennings for something.
I think that would be a good move because to me, it feels like the Juwan Jennings situation is just like the Debo situation from last year. Good player, plays hard, but not this year. It seems like he's disgruntled and trying to keep him engaged in the team and keep him involved in the offense is actually hurting the entire team, just like Debo last year. Got to go.
I want to modify that. I was going to say, Sweetie. I want to modify that, Sweetie. Debo was a dog. Debo was a dog. He wasn't playing hard, and he was a disruptive influence. I think Juwan Jennings, he's hurt. We don't know how hurt. There are times he's trying very hard. There are times he drops balls. There are times he's not as good. I think it's because he's emotionally upset. That's how I read it.
Fair enough.
I think he's gloomy, but I don't think he's actively disruptive in the way Debo was.
That's true. I mean, Debo Samuel slapped a guy on the team. Juwan strikes me as he's checked out.
Okay, fair enough.
When I watch him in the locker room, I don't really see him talking to teammates very much. He's got his headphones on. He walks in, he walks out. He's doing his job. He just seems very gloomy. I think that's a good way to put it.
Okay, so we both agree if you're going to make a trade, he's a good one to trade for. And I'm not talking about draft picks. I'm talking for a live body.
Yeah. Well, how does it help you to trade him for a fifth-round pick next year? Be better to put him in a trade package that brings back a running back or a defensive end.
I love it. So I think maybe their chief bargaining chip, if you will, is him.
And I think if they could get some type of positive update from Ricky Pearsall and or Brandon Ayuk, they might trade him. The problem is that Ricky Pearsall's been out indefinitely. And every time we ask Kyle about him or Ayuk, he's like, yeah, maybe this week. And then it's not. It's really weird.
Okay. Again, Iggy, there's so much we don't know. And I'm sure that Kyle would like to have those guys back. So we don't know what the communication is or how badly hurt they are. I'm saying even if they're still hurt, I think they should move Jennings.
I think they should move Jennings. It seemed to me that their offense was better when it was just Kendrick Bourne and Jake Tonjes than when they were trying to work this out. It's not that he's a malcontent, but he missed all of training camp. They're just not on the same page, to
Yeah.
use a terrible cliche, and it's not happening.
I agree. And I think as receivers, they have Kittle, Tonjes,
McCaffrey
and McCaffrey.
Yeah,
McCaffrey,
and Pearsall's coming back.
If you see McCaffrey more and more, I want to tell you people, I watch on TV now. I don't go to games. Some plays, there are 22 guys running around, but I focus on McCaffrey. A lot of plays, he runs without the ball. He runs into the line of scrimmage and appears to be giving a block, but he doesn't. And then he leaks out 7 or 8 yards and turns around for a pass. Mm-hmm. Iggy, you take a look next time you're at a game. He does it all the time. He's thinking now as a wide receiver.
Yeah. Remember that guy who told us that he overheard John Lynch talking about Garendo? He wrote into my stream yesterday and said he overheard Christian McCaffrey talking about moving to wide receiver because he could make more money over there. Take it with a grain of salt. Take it with a grain of salt.
Well,
but I think it's a smart move. If I was an agent, I'd like him to do it.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. People care about money.
Yeah.
From his point of view, I'm getting beat up at running back. I don't earn as much as a wide receiver. I could last longer as a wide receiver, and I'm damn good at it. So, I mean, he's a team guy and all that, but also he'd like to make the most money. I have no problem with that.
Also, I mean, since 2023, the evidence on the field is that he's not a great running back anymore when it comes to running the football.
Yeah.
The yards per carry are low. He's not getting those long runs. But as a receiver, he's consistently giving you at least 50 yards a game.
Yeah. So I think that's actually, again, we come back. The subject is Jennings. All the more reason to get rid of Jennings because then you could give more catches to McCaffrey.
And what's funny is we're saying that they should go get like a defensive end. Yeah, those guys are usually expensive, but they're attainable. You can always get a running back. Christian McCaffrey, they got him at the trade deadline. Like, you could always get a running back. And if they would just admit that they need one, they could get one, and it would change their whole season.
Iggy, who's faster downfield, Jennings or McCaffrey?
McCaffrey.
No question.
He's
more of a deep threat.
Yes.
And he's not as big as Jennings, but he's every bit as tough, if not tougher.
Yes.
And more elusive.
Routes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are so many ways you could use McCaffrey, and you could motion him into the backfield here and there, but he should primarily be a receiver.
Okay. You heard it here on the Cohn Zone.
Corey Coleman says Seahawks put up 27 points on Houston and had 4 turnovers and still won. Do you guys think they're pretenders or contenders?
I didn't like them at first against the Niners. I'm not sure about their head coach. I'm really not. But they're a better team than they were then. So as far as coaching goes, he's bringing them along.
I like Sam Darnold. He's done really well this year and last year. It's just that he was so bad in that one playoff game last year. I can't forget it. And I wonder, even if the Seahawks are the number 1 seed in the NFC, do you really have confidence in Sam Darnold in the playoffs? Not until he wins a game.
I agree.
Yeah. Isaiah Sanchez, thanks for the $2. Dave, Dove Auto Glass, thank you. $20 says it seemed like D'Amico was using Kyle Shanahan's entire offensive playbook the whole game. Sorry, I'm probably off topic. I'm only 5 minutes into your video. The Cohn Zone is my favorite.
You're my favorite.
Love you. Dove. Abu Marco, 23, says, please corner Pearsall and demand a clear answer on what exactly is the issue with his knee. Feel free to follow up if you get a non-answer. The faithful and fantasy community thanks you. I mean, I asked him right after he got injured, and he said, oh, it's no big deal. I just went home. I felt a little soreness. I went to the trainer, and we just want to be careful, which I believed, and I'm sure he meant. But it's been 5 weeks, and he's not even practicing. And I drafted him in fantasy football, and I'm just so upset. I'm going to tell him, Ricky.
Here's the thing. Your question is so innocent. I love it. Yeah. As if you would expect they'd give an honest answer.
What I'll do is I'll grab him by the collar. I'll stuff him up against his locker. You tell me.
But yeah, being a sports journalist is having to put up with so much ambiguity and deflection and non-answers. That's your. And the other thing is waiting. Not you can't get answers, and you have to wait for people. You have to wait at their locker, and then they say, he's in a meeting, he's not coming. There's so much that kind of frustration.
And it's gotten so bad in the NFL where like the same 8 people break all the stories. So to break those stories, you have to have great relationships with the agents. And that means sort of breaking stories when they want you to break them. So I don't know if you saw this, but yesterday it came out that Carson Wentz has been playing through like a separated shoulder and like a fractured clavicle for weeks. And it just came out because I guess they're shutting him down. But people have known this for the last 2-3 weeks, and the newsbreakers kept it hush-hush because the Vikings didn't want people to know. But now that he's done and they're going back to J.J. McCarthy, all the gory details can come out. It's like, we did a great job on that one. Everyone give it up for the NFL insiders.
Well, here's the thing. They may not have known
Maybe
because the team may not have told them.
Right.
They may only have known when the team wanted them to. That's how I read it. They didn't know.
Known,
who?
Ira.
Of course, Ira would have known all that. Yeah.
Yeah. The young Montana's been a member for 50 months. Thank you so much for the continued support. All right, Dad, it's that time of the day where we make the prize picks. And it's that time of the week where the prize picks don't know which quarterback the Niners are going to play. Oh, where'd you go, Cotton Eye Joe? So we'll start off with, I'll get it back on the screen. We're going to start off with Jackson Dart, 208.5 passing yards, more or less for Jackson.
Oh, boy, because how good is the Niners defense?
Yeah.
Iggy, I'm going to say more.
More sounds good to me. Let's do more. How about Christian McCaffrey rushing yards, 66.5?
No.
That's like I would agree with that. Hold on. Let me get it on this thing. There we go. Where are you? Never mind. Okay. Receiving yards. Let's see if we can get Jennings. No, they don't have him. George Kittle, 51.5.
No.
How come?
I don't think he's well.
I don't think he's well either. It seems like what they're doing is giving him screen passes and passes in the red zone so he doesn't have to run full speed. Less for Kittle. McCaffrey, the receiver. Fewer. McCaffrey, the receiver, 45.5.
More.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do one for fun. Warrior pick for tonight. Warriors.
Who are they playing?
The Clippers.
The Clippers?
The Clippers. Points. Kuminga.
Do you have a thing?
Curry.
Hold on. Do you have a thing there for total points allowed by the Warriors?
Defense?
Yeah.
Who? For the Warriors or for the
for the Warriors, because they've been giving up.
It's a player thing. It's not like a total team thing.
All right.
Okay.
What do we got?
Curry, 25.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could do it like
Kuminga,
breathing.
16.5. What about 16.5 for Kuminga?
Okay. He is such an overrated player, but I think I would give him 16.5.
He's got a hot start to the season. Okay, let's see. All right, those are our picks. Look, we got some Warriors, we got some Niners, and one Giant, New York Giant, flexing it, submitting it. Download Prize Picks, use promo code COHN, play $5, get 50 instantly in lineups when you use that promo code Cohn. We have a great time making Prize Picks. We do a good job, and we hope to steer you in the right direction with our picks. That's all we got.
Is that the whole show?
That's the whole show.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This was a light one today, though. It's okay.
Does that mean it's not our greatest show ever?
No, I think this one was our best in its brevity.
Yeah, you want to learn concision, to be precise. Or that's how my writing is. So
that's true. Okay. And you want to leave them wanting more.
You leave them wanting more. Well, I'll see you for dinner tonight. We're going to his older brother's house for dinner.
That's right. That's right.
That'll be
We're gonna
nice.
have a
Yeah.
whole family dinner, and then we're gonna do another family dinner on Thursday because it's your birthday coming up.
I think the family dinner is. Oh, is it Thursday?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it, Dad.
You got me all confused. Anyway, these people don't have to know about that.
All right.
So I love Yiggy.
I love you too, Dad. Thanks for watching, you people. I'll see you.